Copyright 2014, Math, Diagnostics, and Intervention, all rights reserved. We're going to take a look at how to graph the slope-intercept form of a line. And in order to do that, we must first know what the slope-intercept form of a line is. The slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope of the line, and b is the y-intercept. Once we know that, graphing a line in slope-intercept form should not be too difficult. So, for example, let's take a look at graphing y equals 1/2 x plus 3. First thing we do is we identify the slope. My slope is 1/2, and my y-intercept is 3. I first go to the y-intercept of 3, where my line crosses the y-axis is at 3, and I make a point there. Then I use my slope, and remembering that slope is defined as change in y over change in x, I have a positive change in y of 1, which means I go up 1, and a positive change in x of 2, meaning I go over 2. So my change in y of 1 goes up 1, my change in x of 2 goes over to the right 2. I now have 2 points, and I can connect those dots and make a line. And my line goes something like this. Draw arrows on both ends to indicate that the line continues forever, and we're done. Let's take a look at another one similar to that. Let's say we want to graph y equals negative 2x minus 3. My slope is equal to negative 2. The fraction form of negative 2 is negative 2 over 1, which will help us later. And my y-intercept is equal to negative 3. We start at the y-intercept, where our line will cross the y-axis at negative 3, and we make a dot. We then use our slope of negative 2 over 1. My change in y over change in x, which is what slope is negative 2 over 1. Change in y of negative 2 means I go down 2, and then I go over 1 to the right for my change in x of 1. Positive 1 is to the right. And now we are ready to connect those dots and draw a line. Yep, that was not so good. Let's try that again. Let's try that from up here, and let's see how this works. And not so good. One more time. Let's try that one more time. Anyway, you get the idea. Connect those two dots using a ruler would help, but basically we want to connect those two lines and make sure that we have a straight line, and we end up with the line y equals negative 2x minus 3. Now there's a form of the line that doesn't quite look like the slope-intercept form, but actually is. Let's take a look at how to graph y equals negative 1/3 x. Now this doesn't look like the slope-intercept form of a line because we're missing the b term. But we can rewrite this as y equals negative 1/3 x plus 0. We can add 0 to anything and it doesn't change the value of what we started with. So in this case, my slope is negative 1/3, and I'm going to write that as negative 1 over 3, and my y-intercept is 0. I make a dot at the origin, which is where the y-intercept of 0 would be. Then I go down 1 for a negative change of 1 in for y, and then I go over 3 to the right for a positive change of 3 in the x, and I make another dot. I then continue over, and let's connect the dots here. And we end up with a line that looks like that. So the trick when you're missing the b term is to simply add 0 for b, set b to 0, and then graph it the same way that we have been for the other slope-intercept forms of the line. Now there's one other form, or one other type of line that doesn't quite look like the slope-intercept form of the line, but actually is. Let's take a look at y equals 6. Now that doesn't look like the slope-intercept form of the line, but I can rewrite this as y equals 0x plus 6. 0x is 0, and I can add 0 to anything I want to without changing the value. So now my slope is 0 with a fraction form of 0 over 1, and my y-intercept is 6. So I go up 6, and on the y-intercept. Then I go up 0, meaning I don't go up or down, and over 1, and make another dot there. And then I connect those dots, and my line is a horizontal line. You may choose to remember that when I have y equals a number, that's just the horizontal line at y equals 0. Or you can remember it as this is just another form of the slope-intercept form where my slope is 0. If you remember these things about graphing the slope-intercept form of a line, you should have very little difficulty graphing these. Good luck.